Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spirit Blossoms Chats. Today, we have a wonderful mentor of my own that I just love working with. She has a beautiful energy about her, and I recommend that you actually check her out. Please welcome our international psychic medium, teacher, and mentor, Miss Janelle
Well,
Campbell.
hello, my love. Hello, Jen, and hi, everybody. It's so lovely to be here. What a nice introduction. I hope I live up to it.
It's fantastic to have you. Now, I'll
Thanks.
just let the audience know a little bit about you, Janelle. So, Janelle Campbell is an international respected psychic medium, spiritual art mentor, and the founder of Spirit Ambassadors International, a global platform dedicated to the intuitive development of soul connection and modern mediumship with over 20 years' experience. Janelle has trained with and alongside some of the world's most recognized spiritual teachers, including the famous Mavis Pittilla,
Bless.
Tony Stockwell, and James Van Praagh. She's hitting the A list here of what I know. She is known for her grounded, heart led approach to psychic development and spiritual teachings. Now, I can contest to that. Through her signature training hub, the Psychic Arts Academy, Janelle supports students across all levels, from curious seekers to emerging professional mediums. Her work blends deep spiritual insights with practical applications, empowering others to trust their connection with spirit and step fully into their abilities. In addition to teaching, Janelle hosts retreats. She also does live demonstrations and intimate events that invite practical participants into deeper sense of awareness, healing, and spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
The heart of Janelle's work is her website, Spirit Ambassadors International. This is an umbrella that holds everything Janelle has to offer, from retreats and her demonstrations, her mentorship, and her educations. But at the core is about connecting, helping people deepen their relationship with their spirits and their souls and their intuitive abilities in real fun and a grounded way. And this I can speak from with experience, as Janelle is one of my mentors, and I have experienced the beautiful way that she actually does this stuff.
Oh, thank you,
So
John.
welcome, Janelle.
Oh, thank you. That's so lovely. It's really strange hearing it out loud, and of course, you think, oh gosh, do I do that? Whatever, whatever, whatever.
You do.
But
You
it's
have
lovely.
this. And one thing I keep bringing up to you is about your meditations. The voice, you can tell they're channeled because of the voice that comes across. It's so soothing and it just helps you get to the direction you want to go. And
Yeah.
I just find that it helps me reach the levels I want to reach each time I sit in one of your
Yeah.
meditations.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, and I learned a long time. In mediumship and anything we do is in spiritual whatever learning capacity. We have to trust, don't we? So we have to let go, we have to surrender, and we have to trust. And it's all the things that humans don't like to do. So I find that with the meditations and channeled expressions, because I do a lot of channeling. It's not me working, I'm just the tool, and I'm a very big tool. Excuse me.
Sure.
But it's so really I love the meditations because it puts, I'm in a different space, of course, and it brings the students into a different space. And we're all in this altered state. We're in this oneness, this unique blend of whatever's going on with all the students on the day is always brought through within the meditations, and how to progress and jump up and step forward within those. And it's a remarkable thing. So it's I've had to put a lot of trust and into that. And of course it's scary when you first start. That's nothing new with any of us, is it? So yeah, they're very beautiful. So thank you, Janet. That's lovely.
You're welcome. So after all that, How did you discover your abilities to communicate with the spirits right at the very beginning of your journey?
Yeah. Well, way back in the Netherlands, wherever, when I was a baby, basically, when I was a toddler, I would have dreams of my grandfather who had passed away when I was about 18, 20 months old. And he first started coming to me in dreams. And to be honest, that is how I remember him, and a specific one dream in particular. And it's how I actually remember my grandfather. And because he wasn't with me throughout life, but he's always been with me. And so that's and when you have those dreams, they're visceral, and it's just stayed with me, and I'm pretty old now, so it's a long time. And you kind of think, well, that was my first experience with the spirit world that I recall. And and then I've just had lots of things along the way, of course. And as a small child, I was always scared of the night and had to have the night light on, all of this stuff, because I could literally see spirit whooshing past the bedroom door, and they were skipping and dancing. And it's, in a child's mind, it's like they're goblins and fairies and all the fairy tale stuff that, we're a little bit scared of or whatever. And occasionally they would jut in, and I can see it now, they would come in as quick as lightning and into my face and dart out again, and that's when I would scream. So, but I remember that, and now obviously being a medium and working the way I do, spirit works really fast, and so some of those memories and some of the things they show me now, how they, when I'm working in a group like in a circle or some sort of teaching environment physically, I've seen them walking across the top of the stairway, and I've seen them walking down the stairs into where the circle was where I was teaching. And one was a bit weird. It just felt uncomfortable. One of the students kept looking over her shoulder like that, thinking, I'm going, I know, I know, I know. And anyway, it really jumped into my face, and I kind of went like that. And in my head, I said, "Get out." And it went. So, like, it's weird, but it happens. And but lots of things, so it's from childhood, yes, definitely all of these weird and wonderful things. And intuition throughout life. I didn't know that it's what it was called, psychic events. Again, friends, parents would come to me in dreams, if they'd passed away, and I'd have to get around it by saying, one girlfriend was getting married, and her mum came to me in a dream, and she showed herself in a few different things. And when my friend came over to visit a couple of days later, I said, "Look, I know this is really weird, and I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you, but I think I am. Your mother was I had a dream with your mother in it the other night." And so I was able to then to produce the message that way. Somehow I intrinsically knew that I had to tell my friend that her mother came to visit. So, and many, many, many things. So I don't know if I've answered any questions, but that is my story from
That's
there.
amazing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how
it's
does
just
it,
what it is.
yeah, so how does it feel when you connect to those spirits like that? Like there
Well,
must
in
be
dreams,
some,
it doesn't really matter so much because they're just
yeah.
in your dreams, and you remember the dream as you wake up. So that's not a problem. It's oftentimes how you then tell the story or give the message to a friend, and but everybody knows I'm a medium now, so it doesn't matter, it's quite nice. It's funny. Sometimes I'm with friends, and you've probably had this too, that their loved one you'll start feeling them around you. And you're talking, or you're out to dinner, or you're this, or you're that. And suddenly you'll feel the father, or you'll feel the family, or whoever it is. And you go, oh, and it's really like they're just hammering at your head, like, hey, I'm here. Can you kind of do something? I mean, once I was having a massage or a facial or something, and I'm having a lovely time. And then I start seeing all these beautiful colored lights, and I think, oh yeah, okay. And I'm in dreamland having a massage, and the grandfather of the lady that was massaging me was turned up. And he started interrupting, and then he said he wants to talk to his granddaughter and this and that. And I said, well, I can't really, I don't know. And he said, why? I said, I don't think this is all in your head. You're just going telepathically. And well, she has no idea. So, and I had to say to him, well, I don't think it's appropriate. She might get scared. She might not know what I do, all this sort of stuff. And he said, oh, okay. And I said, look, if she asks a question about it, anything weird, I will tell her. And this is how clever the spirit world is. So she finished the thing. It was all lovely, packing up, doing whatever. And she said, oh, what do you do, Janelle? And I told her. And she said, oh, that's amazing. And, I'm really interested in that. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, and then I was able to offer her the information from her grandfather. And it's really, and she was so grateful for that. And of course, everybody cries. But it is just what we do. I don't suggest going out and tapping people on shoulders, and saying, oh, you've got a dead granny around you. Like it's not that. I hate that. But there are times where spirit will step forward and you feel compelled to say something. You don't have to. You really don't. You've got to look after yourself, but and be mindful of the situation. But occasionally, it does arise.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody out there who's stepping into their abilities, but finding that they don't know how to stop the spirit from interrupting or coming in, especially for night time when they're trying to sleep and things like that, which I find a lot of people have issues with.
Yeah.
You tell them.
Yeah, I would tell them to, so this, I'm thinking the spirit world, go away. But really, it's a good question because it happens at night. And it happens at night or in those moments where you feel relaxed and you're just trying to go to sleep or you're just in that dreamy kind of state. And because you are having things happen anyway, you're going to be feeling intuitions or sensing things or thinking, oh, is that a spirit thing or whatever? You're going to be starting all of that. You're going to have your quickening of your interest in the spirit world and in the psychic arts. You're going to be reading more. You're going to be doing lots of things. So it's not like sometimes it can happen, but it drops out of the sky. But so what I would say, you're already building something. So what I would say there is you're the one attracting it. So it's not a matter of saying to the spirit person, go away, leave me alone, you're hurting me, whatever. It's about you moving them along or shutting down, really shutting down. And at night we think about it, I find myself, because at night we're in the stillness, we might be lonely or you might be, whatever it might be. And me too, at night, I call, where are you? Blah, blah. I get bored, while I'm waiting to go to sleep. So I kind of think, oh, well, in my company. Yeah, have a chat. But it messes with you. It does mess with you because sometimes it's not real. Sometimes it's a manufactured essence of what your mind is doing. So you do have to be careful. But at the same time, to answer the question, if I may, is to really shut down of a night, especially when you're going to bed. And so you just shut it off. Don't listen. Don't want to see things. Don't do it. It's you that's the problem, not them. And I know that sounds a bit harsh, but it's the only way to do it. You'll never get any sleep otherwise. And you're also prone to mind tricks, I think. I find too when you're tired and you're doing this and you're reaching out and to the universe or whatever you want to call it, sometimes when you're it's not a real connection to the spirit world, you're kind of in that etheric field or that weird kind of cycle of stories and news and television and happenings and whatever's going on, and it's kind of goes on repeat. You might think you're communicating with something, but you're actually in that frequency of information. And so when there's no communication coming back to you, you're going to find that it kind of loops and it loops and it loops, and it will drive you a little bit crazy. So, there's many layers to the answers, of course, but somewhere in there you'll find something of use.
No, that's really good advice actually, because
Yeah.
a lot of people ask me that. And another question that a lot of people have asked is, how do you handle skepticism and doubt from clients? And
Yeah, well, I don't so much skeptics you can't do anything about, that's just what it is. And you have nothing to prove. It does annoy me. I do get irritated by it. I get more irritated by people that know me. Not so much friends, but just acquaintances. And, they'll say, oh, what do if you're at a party or something and they ask you what you do and you think, oh God, here we go. And, how do I answer this now? And I'm sick of, you can't bullshit, and I'm sorry,
yeah,
but, I'm just sick of it. And I have to stand in my power and own what I am. And you can see the look on their face just goes whoosh, turns into, a Besser brick or a rock or something.
yeah,
And then they just move on. And you kind of think, or some idiot will say, oh, haha, because they feel uncomfortable. Oh, what are the lottery numbers then? And I go, oh,
oh
gee,
yeah,
I haven't
oh
heard
yeah,
that before. You're so funny, like, but I don't, it's really hard.
yeah,
And mostly it's in circles where you know people or people of people, and social environments. And I still get it, I really do. But they're uncomfortable knowing that there is something else outside their kind of linear physical, world. And they don't understand that it could actually be real. So skeptics, whatever,
yeah.
it is difficult, but you've got to take it with a grain of sand. And you have to, like water off a duck's back. You have to be tough. You can see that, I'm very grounded and
Yeah,
talk real. I'm very real,
yeah.
but you have to be grounded in the work. You have to be confident in what you do, and not really take prisoners. Not
No,
scared
not
so
yet,
much.
not yet.
So,
Wow.
but it's hard. Difficult clients, on the other hand, they're just scared.
Mm,
They just, they might come to a medium or a psychic. Let's face it, when people come to mediums and psychics, they're in pain. They're
yeah,
in fear at some level.
yeah.
So, you have to gauge that as they, as we, it's all on Zoom or whatever now, but you have to be normal. You have to be your beautiful, natural self. You have to talk to them like they're your friends. And are you okay? And you have to settle people into a space. Because
Mm,
sometimes when they're looking at you in absolute stony cold silence or, cranky head and, arms crossed, it's just that they're terrified. They don't know what to do. They really don't. So we have to be nice. We have to be normal. We have to be fun and chat and settle them into the space
mm,
and work out. If they're too closed, excuse me, if they're too closed, it's difficult to penetrate that. It is difficult to work. And
mm,
sometimes I've had to say, long ago in the past, I've had to say, look, do you really want to be here? And do you really want to be doing this? I can see that it's uncomfortable for you.
mm.
Are you okay? And then they start to break that barrier because they've put the big block up, across their chest because they're hurting and they only really want to hear from maybe one person. Let's say the husband just died, a month ago, or, whoever, it doesn't really matter. And
Yeah,
so they're testing you as well. And
yeah.
and that's okay. Why not? Be tested.
Mm,
But don't take it personally, that, they hate you or something. It's just that they want, in their heart of hearts, they need to know that their loved one is well, that they're okay, that there is a spirit world. It's not all BS and or
yeah,
whatever goes with it.
mm,
So
yeah.
we have to, by experience, really, and just being kind and compassionate and understanding. And unfortunately, it is going to happen to you. It just does.
Mhm.
And it's fine. If you know your work, if you know who you are, and if you know how to work, it's going to be okay. It's just learning how to be human and compassionate and have empathy in the space.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Now for an exciting bit.
Oh my God, hasn't it all been exciting so far?
Yes. Now, tell us about your journey with Mavis Pittilla and Tony Stockwell.
Oh, well,
God,
God.
how
Well,
lucky are you?
beautiful Mavis. I first came across Mavis, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago. And I sat in just went along to a workshop like as you do. And I recently left a teacher. He closed up his circle here in Sydney, and I sat in circle for 4 years with him. And
Yep.
that was, a great, after you go through trying to find the right teachers. But so I sat in circle, and then he finished that up, and it was a couple of years, and I thought my mediumship isn't what I want it to be. There seemed to be a big hole in it. I was not happy with myself and my development, and you can only go so far, but there was something missing. And anyway, Mavis was teaching in Sydney for a week-long seminar. And so that was great. And so I signed up and did that. And then I asked, we were supposed to get up and give a demonstration, and a bit of a demonstration so she could see you work and give help feedback. And so I got up and she tore shreds off me. Absolutely tore shreds off me in front of 100 people. I was like, whack, whack after, and I'm getting more and more in my head thinking, oh my God, I'm making a real idiot of myself here and blah, blah, blah. And it was
Oh,
kind of funny. And anyway, she came, I kind of slinked off at the end. And even though it was received by the recipient very well and she understood, but Mavis wasn't believing it. And so at the lunch break, she came up to me and she said, are you all right? And I hope I didn't upset you too much, blah, blah, blah. And she was very charming and very kind. And I said, Mavis, I have spent $2,000 to hear you say that. That is exactly what I'm here for. And thank you. Because I needed to hear the acknowledgement that something was a bit haywire. I needed to hear that. And of course, over the years, then I did quite a few workshops and seminars with Mavis, and she was my mentor for about 6 months, I think, one-on-one teaching. And then we finished up that sometime, long time ago. I just kind of stalked a lot of them for a while. We've got the blessing of internet now and teaching
mhm.
and all of that online. But back in the day, I had to get on an aeroplane and fly to wherever they were. And so Europe became very easy run,
Yep,
Sydney to
yep.
Sydney to Europe, wherever they were, and I stalked them for several years. And so Tony was one of them, and gradually stepped into classes of Tony's and workshops and different things. And the same with James. And I first met James a long time, 20 years ago. And then it took 10 years for me to come back to a class that he was teaching and in Ireland. And so I went there and we, whatever, the rest is history with him. But Tony, they're beautiful teachers. They really are.
Yep.
They're those of us who were lucky to enough to have known Mavis, even in the capacities that whatever it was, we take a lot from all our teachers, and you're probably finding this too, Janet,
Yeah.
that we take so much, lots of things from all our teachers, the good teachers, and there are some bad teachers. But you've got to go through that too. But we take the good parts and then we kind of blend it and meld it, and it all comes together and it becomes part of you then, and part of the way you offer your service to those around you and your teaching. So we are influenced by everything. All our teachers influence us. But we pass that on. We are in service then as well. So Mavis was great. She cut it straight and didn't mince words, and she was a wonderful, wonderful teacher, and she a beautiful spiritualist, and she just loved spirit, and it was just obvious. So we're very lucky.
Mm. The videos I've seen of Mavis have just blown me away. I have
Yeah.
never seen a medium that is so exact.
Yeah, was very clever. Well, she's obviously helping people too from the spirit
Yeah,
world. You know, she's not leaving the movement, and she's still your mentor or whoever she might be. But she would be exact, and
yeah,
she would go to bookshelves on cupboards, in the back room or something in her mind, and
yeah,
find things, and the recipient would say, "Yes, that's right." It's
yeah,
happened. I've been able to do that myself a few times, but not like that. So.
yeah.
And
Well,
Tony's a beautiful teacher, and
Well, I'm lucky enough to have Tony as a teaching me with
yeah, I know.
mediumship and soul to soul. And I find it really interesting for me because I've also done James's level 1 and 2 in mediumship, and I've got a heap of other stuff that he's got there, he's on offer. But I found that what interests me the most is the connection with the teachers and mentors I've had, like yourself even. They're all sort of connected together, like your story. The only
Yeah,
one I haven't had the privilege of learning anything from was Mavis.
yeah.
There's
But,
still
but
that connection.
yeah, but you learn obviously through what you see and read and all the things, but through us, those who have been lucky enough. That's how we can only pass things on. It's our job to pass it along.
Yeah.
And there will be aspects of my work that is Mavis from Mavis, and there's certainly aspects of my work that is Tony, and and James, of course, and quite a lot of other teachers that I've had. But they've been James and Tony have been my main mentors, and of course, I still have mentors, and James is a very big part of that, and my progress and development. So yeah, it's great.
I think James might be leading you astray a little bit,
No.
whisking you off overseas on tours, and
No.
it feels like you had a wow of a time.
Yeah, well, I can assure you that I keep up, honey.
I bet
And
you
and
do.
he would say to you, he would laugh at that. He would say, "You don't know Janelle."
I think he'd be hitting the sack after way before you were ready to. He'd be off to bed.
Oh no, no. We're anyway. That's it. What happens, in Europe or in wherever
What
is
happens in Paris stays in Paris.
It certainly does. We had he is a wonderful friend now, and that is and a true friend, and I mean that.
Oh,
That's not that's just not some medium saying,
yeah.
"Oh, my friend is."
You can tell
It's
when you two are together.
yeah,
You
exactly.
can see the connection and the friendship there.
Yeah.
Just what I've seen on Facebook and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
What
But
he
and
shared about to us.
and they're no idiots. Of course, people are sitting back at judgy little things, and that's okay. That happens, but they're not fools. You cannot fool them. None of them,
No.
and they will see straight through you, and they have that's just what it is. So if you are genuine. If you
Hmm.
are genuinely seeking teachers and you want to do the work and you put yourself up there, they will help you 100%. And we sometimes think of them as being, these great luminaries that we can't touch and that we will never kind of be like or whatever. Well, they've got their path and we've got our path, and we're very lucky, and I'm very grateful to kind of been on the slippery dip with them.
Mm.
And but they're very real, but they don't they understand, they know a lot of stuff, and they will see straight through you. So good
I'll,
luck.
I'll tell you a funny little story now
Yeah.
about James. And um, I did his tarot class and of course, James has been a sort of a mentor and an idol for me. Oh, probably close to when he was first starting, that long ago, over 30 years for me.
Amazing.
And I was never lucky enough to be able to get on the plane and go do any of his stuff. But when I finally had the penny drop that, oh my God, we're on Zoom now, I can do this,
Exactly.
that's when I started doing stuff. Anyway, so I decided to do his tarot course. And they put up 4 cards on the screen and they were asking for people to read them. Oh my God. You should have seen me. I'd worked it all out and I put it all the story together and I started to tell him. And you should have heard the crackles in my voice, Janelle. I started to get that, that I'm nervous. Oh my God,
I
I'm
know,
doing it
I
for James.
completely understand.
I started to crackle, and in the end, he just looked at me and said, "Oh my God, you are a medium." And I thought, "Oh, thank you." But in the end, that it was quite funny. But yeah, it was a little bit shocked
It's
at first
daunting.
to do that
It's
reading. Oh,
it's so daunting to be in front of them and suddenly to be working in front of them. Like when I first met him 20 years ago, I couldn't even say hello. I actually couldn't, nothing would come out of my mouth. And then it took 10 years and a determination to go, I'm not doing that again, But it's very hard, and when
oh,
they're watching you work and with any of them, any teacher, and you would find that even with me, if you've got to work in front of me, everyone kind of goes, ugh. And but you just have to push through that, and James has sat in, as my mentor, he's sat in readings with me while I've read for people. And that's pretty scary. And you kind of go, okay. And he's sat beside me while I read. And it's really important. And you just have to push through that. In classes, I would always put my hand up and they ask for volunteers for everything, and I would always be the first to put my hand up. It got so embarrassing that I would then look around, and none of the other idiots would put their hands up, and I would go, "Ugh, I'm in Europe. I've paid a lot of money to be here. I'm going to learn something." And they'll notice you when you do that because you are enthusiastic. You're taking the work in. You're wanting to succeed or strive or develop. And that goes a long way with any teacher, I can assure you. You sit in the background and we get bored. Like
yeah,
we don't know if we're doing anything. Is
yeah.
it working? Are you on? And hello, hello. But it's hard, and I love teaching, but I've gone through the ropes too. I've been led around the room blindfolded, and having to find the right recipient, and you've got 100 people around you, and you're thinking, okay, let's do it, and
Yeah.
whatever. So lots of stories, I have to say.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I can always say that I was never terrified to put my hand up at your classes. You made me feel very comfortable. Thank
Oh,
you.
good, darling. That's good. Well,
Yeah.
that's what it's about. We're just normal and we're kind and silly and sometimes a bit mean, but it's okay.
Yeah. Your mean's not mean, though. So what's next for Janelle? Any workshops, demonstrations, or
Yeah. Well, it's always, you're just putting one foot in front of the next and you're just doing, much the same as you do. So, what have I got? I've got a demonstration coming up next month. I work with another lovely medium in northern, where is she? In Queensland, we'll call it Queensland.
Mhm.
And we're having a lovely time demonstrating together. So our next one's coming up in a few weeks, so that's good fun. And then I go up to Queensland, so we kind of tip the tables, whatever we're doing. Of course, the teaching portal, the academy side of things, that's growing and developing as I settle into it a little bit more. Spirit Ambassadors is really, it started out as one thing, but it is morphing into something more. It's morphing into something else. So it houses all my work and retreats and whatever. So we're hoping to do some retreats next year and the next one. So keep an eye out for that. And just teaching, love. You just teach and read and teach and offer your service, however that comes about. So the teaching side of it, the academy is expanding a little bit at the moment, which is great. As one part of it comes to a close, there's something more, another model coming up. So it's really good. We just keep going, don't we?
Yep. Are you looking to teach again on Zoom? Like one of the classes I took with you was over, I think it was 8 weeks of mediumship, and we did a bit of trance and soul
Yeah,
to soul, which was fantastic. Are you
beautiful.
looking at doing that again, or?
Yeah, I like trance and altered state and soul to soul communication is beautiful and channeling all of that stuff. Yes, they're also housed under Spirit Ambassadors, but they'll be coming up shortly as well. So, but they're not part of the portal itself that you're a
Mm.
member of, but they're special interest kind of classes and groups that do that. And there's a lot more of star beings coming forward now, and they've been coming forward for many years in readings even, and you kind of go, oh, really? I'm imagining this, there's an alien there. Like, you kind of get, that's a bit
Yeah.
weird. Is that real? But yes, they're real, and they're beautiful sentient beings. They've got souls, just like all of us, and they're way ahead of us little earthlings, of course. They don't actually kill one another, but but anyway, without being too stupid, yeah, there's more of that coming in. So there are some special categories coming up over the next 6 to 12 months as well. So, and I love that, I love working with a smaller group that we can kind of start to sink our teeth into something and really explore. And really, you need a year's mentorship in many ways, but we can have little tasting plates and
Hmm.
introductions through these shorter things. And it's mind-blowing what's available to us. It's incredible.
Hmm. So
Mm.
what would you say to someone who was interested in doing some of your classes, someone who's just starting out on their journey? And
Yeah, well, you just got to contact me. And there's plenty of opportunities. So within the Psychic Arts Academy, that's probably, if you're just starting out, the circle category, the circle tier, I'm creating another tier to it this year. Um, but the circle tier would be the one to join. And within that, you get a live class every month and access to me, of course, through whatever we are or whatever we're on. But there's a lot of, I think I've got about 18 or 20 recorded modules in there as well. So that's on top of, your monthly thing. So there's also, the grounding. You really need to get your groundwork. I like to start with the psychic stuff. It's really important because you're going to intuition and the psychic senses, is what the spirit then pings off. We kind of learn, and understand what spirit talks about or how they touch us and through the psychic senses. So really to have a good solid grounding in the psychic arts is a really good start. And I think there's 10 recorded modules in there, and you can go through that yourself, and again maybe 8 or 10 mediumship ones as well. So that's a really good thing. There's lots of resources and the videos and channelings and blah blah blah, whatever, books and downloadable things and whatever in the portal, and that's a really good. We need that. We need that support, and it really started because these were the things I was looking for when I was learning, when I wanted to find information and what's out there, and long ago your teachers were very jealous. They kind of guarded you very secretly and didn't want you to go and look at other things and other people. You're in my circle or you're in my class, whatever it was. You must stay here and no, don't look at anybody else. And it's too confusing for you. Well, yes and no. But I think you can make your own minds up and see what's real, what fits you, how you fit into it. It's important to feel a rapport with your teacher. That's really important. And so start looking. Look, you're welcome to send me an email or something, whatever we're going to do, how to connect. But I would really have a good look at the portal, and Janet knows the portal and understands it a bit, and look at classes that way. So really important to get a start. You've got to start. If you're on the fence, you know, I don't know and I don't care. I know that sounds terrible. We're coming it straight.
yeah,
If you are still thinking, oh, one day, one day, one day, well, what's the date of that day? You
yeah,
know, and you've got to start. What if, whatever, what have you got to lose? Time, and then you'll die, and then you still won't have done it. You'll be a contact for somebody, and that's lovely, but it's no good. Won't
no,
get you anywhere. So, did that help, my love? Does that help anybody?
let's hope that they gets them all going.
Yeah, you've just
Get
got
them
to
all going. That's the main thing.
have a go and
Yeah.
trust that. you're being guided. That what is it? What's that saying? When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes, yes, it is too.
So, it's very
Oh,
true.
well,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today, Janelle?
Oh gosh, I don't think I've told you anything of any importance, of course, but I would just say really start trusting yourselves and move inward. You're not going to find all the answers on the external. Everything that we are, have been, will be is already within us. And we are a universal miracle in the making. And we are this being of extraordinary measure in physical form. But, excuse me, we can capture the essence of what we truly are within our hearts and within our souls. And really that's the heart essence is how we start to build pictures of the spirit world and the psychic senses around us. So everything you want is within you. Don't go grasping at straws, like, oh, I must take this class and do that, and like all this stuff, because it's just this cacophony of noise and clutter. Keep it simple, keep it as simple as you can. Move in within the silence. Because once you step into the silence of yourself, your innate being, your true being, you will find an amazing world. It's an incredible world, and everything will open up to you. I just love, oh, I've gone all goosebumps because it's just a beautiful part of us, and our transformation is exponential. So take a chance. If you're reading books, I would suggest reading 1,000 books, whatever you can. You can see I've got lots of books, but really move within. Start meditating. Is our Janelle, I can't meditate. Well, you can just sit stillness and sit in silence for 2 minutes and then move on. That's all you have to do. So it starts that way. Everything is there. It's already within you. Everything. You
Everything.
just have to know how to unfold it and trust the process. It's very beautiful. It's like once you start, you can't go back. Once you know something, you can't unknow it. And you talked about skeptics before, and they might come up with, oh, well, prove that it exists. Well, prove that it doesn't, buddy. Prove that it's not there.
Mm.
And there's so much work going on now that is proving a lot of interesting things. So I would just say, trust yourself, move into the center of your being, move into the heart space, get rid of the clutter in the head, and you just breathe head to heart. And just start that process. A few meditations or listening to some beautiful music, it helps.
That's beautiful advice. Thank you, Janelle.
Most welcome.
Well, thank you for joining us today on Spirit Blossom Chats.
Oh,
And
it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
it's been wonderful to have you here. And so we'll say goodnight to everybody now. And thank
Yeah,
you very
thanks
much.
everyone.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.